Good afternoon, everyone.
Music.
We were just jamming. Is that what the cool kids say? I don't know what they say, because we're moms. So welcome to New Mom Monday. I'm Fancy Nancy, and this is Bri. And today we're going to talk about just starting somewhere. Yeah, because it doesn't have to. What did you say before we started?
I don't know. We say all the good stuff, and then we get on camera.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, the music helped though.
Yeah.
If you see us looking down a lot, it's because Baby Jax is here.
Yeah. He'll want to come up in a little bit.
He'll come up at some
he's
point.
Having fun.
But if you see us looking down, that's probably why. Because he's like crawling around now.
Scooting and pulling.
Yeah. And how old is he?
8 months and a week.
Okay. Whoa. That went by fast.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
yes.
This show's a little bit different.
Yeah.
We're going to answer questions if they come in. So it's a good one for people to ask questions.
That'd be good.
I think a lot of people, and I know we've referenced this on some shows, but I think a lot of people get really intimidated and then they just stop.
Right.
So
or they don't start.
They don't start.
Right.
Yeah, they just stop moving forward.
Right.
Or they think, I could never do that, or that's really off the wall. I don't want to be one of those.
It's really overwhelming.
There's a spider on the floor. Sorry.
Oh.
Mom.
Mom, where's the mom? Okay, I'll get it. Ooh.
And
well, when your baby's on the floor, it's a little
moms
different.
Aren't gonna like that. We should have picked it up, put it outside. We're good.
Sorry.
Tab's here to save the day.
Okay, but you were saying it can get really, it can
really
seem
intimidated.
overwhelming.
So actually, about a year ago, the Wellness Way started a campaign called #StartSomewhere, and it was just showing some common things that people can do to get started.
Yeah, and the goal was really, and you'll see a lot of the swaps and stuff on our Instagram page, showing some things that you can do to just get started, because it's intimidating, it's overwhelming, and for me, I started working here thinking like, I love that this is going to be like the third time that that's happened. But for me, when I started, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to start working at the Wellness Way and then do all of this.
Yeah.
All of this. I didn't think anything of that. I just thought I'm going to go do videos. It's just going to be a job. Not even, I probably shouldn't say that to my boss, but when I started, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm just going to go there. I'm just going to work. Not going to
that's how it happens with
not going
all
to get too
our
involved.
employees.
Yeah, right.
I mean, some we get that are previous patients. I was a patient before I started working here a decade ago.
Yeah.
So my story is a little different than yours. Obviously, everybody has a different story, but I think it's important for moms to know, where do I start?
Yeah.
So obviously, if there's a major issue going on, you're going to start by getting tested.
Yep.
Okay? They're not a patient yet. That was my story with Bella. I didn't start, we didn't have social media when we started this whole thing. I should say, not like we do nowadays. I didn't start by saying, I'm going to switch my shampoos and all our foods, and I'm going to throw this out, and we're not going to do this anymore. I had an issue, and that was her bowel issues when she was 2.5, and so that's where we started. But in learning all that, in starting her food allergies, we just went down this rabbit trail, and where we were then to where we are now is completely different.
Yeah, and so you look at it differently now too, because you've been living it for so long. For me, I have so many close friends and family that are new to this, and at that point it's like, just start somewhere. And for that, I would say start with little things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when I started, I was drinking, and everybody knows this, I was drinking Mountain Dew and eating Skittles. Like, that's what I did when I needed to like really get a video project edited quickly. Brian knew this, like, he'd get me a Mountain Dew and Skittles and I'd be able to get through like getting this project finished. But find something else that is going to feel like a reward, because that's really what it is. It's training your thinking, which, well, that's really nasty. Training your thinking to think differently too about everything, and paying attention to what you're putting in your body. And so it's just been interesting, starting with, I don't think I'm going to actually do anything, I'm just going to go there and work, to, okay, I'll do my food allergies. And it took me 4 months before I did my food allergies, and when I did that, I've lost like over 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I just stopped eating.
50 pounds.
I joke that I stopped eating, period. But that's not true. I just stopped eating my food allergies, and that's really what made such a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think not that that's where everybody needs to start, but it's a really good starting point depending on what you're looking to change. But one of the things we talked about, why should people start in the first place? Like,
I was just looking to see if we had any comments
I
we
don't
needed to address. Why should they start in the first place?
Yeah, like why is it important to pay attention to what we do and what is health and how to be healthy, and especially as a mom?
Well,
what does that look like?
We teach here something called the bucket theory. And I've referenced this recently. I haven't talked about it probably in a couple of months, and referenced it recently about 3 times. So it made me think about it. So we have a theory, it's called the bucket, right? And your bucket, each thing fills it up, and when it overflows is when you end up sick, right? So for, let's say you start out this bucket, you start out with the air quality we have nowadays and the chemtrails, and you add Tylenol and antibiotics as a child, and you add fingernail polish, which contains formaldehyde, and you add vaccines, and you add all these different things, your bucket just gets a little bit fuller. So I like to say, Isabella, because I had an unhealthy pregnancy, which we've referenced 1,000 times in here, her bucket was already this full when she was born. And then we added those vaccines. She was formula fed and added the Mylicon gas drops. By 2.5, she was sick.
So her bucket was full.
Her bucket was full. It was overflowing. We were dealing with stool issues. We were dealing with all kinds of stuff. Now, my boys, I detoxed before. I feel like we'll never know. Nobody knows how full our bucket is. I mean, you can test. You can do CRP and different inflammation
and get a
tests
good idea
and stuff. Get a good idea, but their bucket's a little less full, so they might,
because they started.
They have, which we've tested them. They have less food allergies. I mean, we've tested Bella versus Jason, and different things react to them differently. I do in my heart feel that her bucket was way fuller when she started. C-section baby. I mean, there's this whole thing. So why does it matter? I don't want my kid's bucket to fill up. There's things out of my control.
Exactly.
100%.
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
So no matter where I live, the air quality we have nowadays, it is completely out of my control. 4G, 5G is coming. Out of my control.
Right. So control the things that you can.
Walking into the grocery store, Wi-Fi, out of my control. So if I can control what goes on their skin, if I can control
what goes in their body,
if I can control that many aspects, I can hope that test them correctly along the way, get them adjusted, do those different things. I can hope that their bucket never overflows and they end up with cancer, diabetes, all the different things.
Well, there's I feel like it's cheesy repeating it. I mean, it's a good statement, but listen to your body when it whispers before you have to hear it scream. So just because you don't notice some of these big, how is this going to work? Gotta get Jackson out from under the chair. There we go. But really, I mean, listening to your body when there's little things going on before you have to.
You can take them, sure. Yeah, maybe you want to be on show.
Do you want to be on and show everybody how cute you are?
They like to steal them.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was interesting. I'm just watching it on camera now. Bending over,
climbing under the chair.
Well,
but the same kind of thing
when there's big. Pay the farmer now or pay the pharmacist later. You know, we talked about it. I was talking to somebody about this last week. Everybody likes to say, you got to die somehow. Sure. Do you want to die miserably? Do you want to have
what kind of life do you want to live?
Years? You know, and then you have the person who drinks, smokes, and is fine till they're 80, and you have the person that does everything right. We're all individuals. It's where our we don't guess, we test model comes in.
Because everything has to be treated differently. So some of the things that we address, and we talked about this basically in a nutshell just now, but the 3 T's, and it goes back to the toxins, traumas, and thoughts. So the toxins are some of those things that are out of your control, like the air quality.
Some are. Toxins being medicine and skin, what you're putting on your skin, makeup, all different kinds of things.
But baby products like that you're using, or plastic bottles.
Like Johnson & Johnson, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure it's Johnson & Johnson was sued a couple years ago. They found high levels of formaldehyde or something in their products. I'm not willing to take that chance.
No, right.
And I think if more people knew, it's not just because, oh, I feel like I'm a better mom if I have organic products, or I would prefer to spend 3 times as much.
Right.
It's tried, true, the research is out there. Just start swapping certain things.
So that's toxins, basically.
Yep.
Traumas, what would you say to traumas?
Traumas, typically in our world, when we talk about the 3 T's, trauma, toxins, and thoughts, trauma is subluxation. So it's the nervous system, it's adjustments. Obviously, trauma can be mental, physical, but when you're referencing the 3 T's of chiropractic that BJ Palmer set up, which is what our model is based in, it's trauma as in subluxation, which is making sure, we take care of our heart. We say Cheerios are good for your heart. We don't, right? Yeah. You can replace your heart. We take care of our liver. Everything. You can replace your liver, right?
Right. Yeah.
We do. The general population, they're starting to. It doesn't take care of their spine. You can't get a new spine.
Right.
And we're dealing with this now with family members. And Wes's grandma actually said this to me. She goes, back in my day, we didn't take care of that. But you can't replace it.
Right.
Not saying don't take care of your liver, but we have this active...
Or a lot of people use the dentist analogy too.
Yes.
You take care of your teeth.
You take care of your teeth.
We have,
every organ, every system, everything in your body connects to your spine, and we don't take care of it. So the second is, and we've got a video out there about adjusting kiddos and why it's so important and why it's not scary at all.
Yeah, you did a new mom episode with Dr. Mitch.
Yeah, we did.
That was good. Wait, a while? That was a long time ago now.
That was one of the first or second ones. Yeah.
So one of the last T is thoughts.
Yeah, so stress.
So stress.
We talk about stress often, especially for moms.
Yeah, and Doc just did a video last night kind of on how women deal with stress and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of information out there, which is another thing that we were going to talk about, is just researching. So with mindset, try to manage your stress or handle your stress or get your stress tested. I didn't even know you could do that. You can test, well, what is that test? I don't know what that's called.
Well, you could look at it all different ways. Are you talking about stress hormones? Are we talking about stress in the heart?
I don't know.
Are we talking about inflammation, which leads to stress? Are we, there's
all of the above.
All of the above. Stress on your body by food allergies.
Yeah.
Every test you could look at is a stress test.
Right. So with all of those things, to start somewhere, one of the biggest things was food, like I mentioned, with the food allergy test. Start somewhere for trauma would be get adjusted. How often do you get adjusted? Or how often do the kids get adjusted?
My kiddos get adjusted weekly, if I can. If we're here more, great. If they're sick, definitely more often. Now, Bella had an ear infection last week, and she was adjusted every day, morning and one day, afternoon as well.
Wow.
To get those tube fluids draining out of the ear.
Yeah, so instead of just jumping, so that's something that people can do, is instead of jumping to the Tylenol and jumping to the antibiotics or going to the clinic or whatever, just start by
we started
finding a different approach. And maybe that's for someone who has been doing a little bit more research or has started, but along this path of brand new to 10 years in, there's so many different levels of where you're at. Yeah. So that's another thing you can eliminate.
Whether your child is 6 days, 6 months, 6 years, or 16, you can start making those changes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Bella was 2.5, 3 when we really started, but man, I wouldn't say I would even call me crunchy till she was 7, 8, I think. I'm not sure. There's still
so it was
things
a while before you.
We go further and further. I remember years ago looking at as what we would call the crunchy moms, and we have our crunchy scale meter going, there's no way I'm going to be putting breast milk in my child's eye instead of going for pink eye meds. There's no way I'm going to be putting silver in their ear instead of antibiotics. You know, there's no way they're going to run up to me and their leg is scraped and I'm going to be saying, put some tea tree on it.
Yeah,
or, you know. So
that's so
you
true.
Get there and you learn it, and once you get started, you just keep going.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. Is it was so new, and being in this environment definitely helped because, Zoe has an ear infection. What do I do? And it's easy just to run to somebody here.
Make waffles.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I think Brian is watching too. I may or may not have. Is that weird? Maybe I shouldn't admit this.
It's definitely crunchy, but it's cool.
It's crunchy. I'm so not crunchy.
But I guess crunchy.
I'm getting there. I had breast milk, not my own, that I had gotten for Zoe's ear infection. And we made waffles on Sunday morning, and I put some in it. And I didn't tell Brian. Kylie thought it was awesome. Because
that is true recycling. Like, that is using it to the last drop. I was so
like, I don't
proud
want
of you.
this to go to waste. Like, I took a whole bag of breast milk. So anyway, we put it in Zoe's ears, and then I put it in the waffles. And I'm thinking, all great reasons for all of us to get these nutrients. So we had that. We had breast milk, gluten-free, dairy-free, right? What else were they? Egg-free waffles for brunch. So come on over to my house for brunch.
Any of your family that is watching this
just can't promise
never going to eat another dish
That's so
that
true.
You bring to pass.
They won't. I haven't put them in cookies or anything, but I don't know what the benefit was. So that's really crunchy. That's totally not like me at all. But when I started, I was going to say I was really skeptical, very, because, okay, sure, it works great. I'm fine. I don't need anything. I'm doing fine. I like my Skittles. But like I've said a lot, to my family or even to Brian, I'll what is don't yuck my yum, don't, try it before you buy it, whatever. I was sold once I did it and realized that it worked. Essential oils, I always thought they were crazy. And then I started using them. I'm like, oh, they actually work. So I can't say, you can't talk smack about something when it works and it does what people say it's going to do. And not to say that about the wellness way as a whole, but just in general, like once I started to put some of these things into practice, that's when I noticed, and that's the same for my family. Is like once you get started, those results are motivating. And that's where like it, not that you want to or not want to be on this crunchy scale, but it just kind of goes from there because you're like, okay, this is really cool because it's working and you're learning and you're researching and doing more. So
that's super neat to hear.
Starts with like, stop
because
drinking
you've
Mountain
been
Dew.
here for a year.
Yeah.
A little over a year, year and a half almost.
A little over a year.
I forget sometimes. I've been a patient for over a decade. I've worked here. October will be 10 years. September, October will be 10 years.
Wow.
So I forget, but I just look at where I was and where we started. And we've referenced my mom's story a few times, but
she still needs to come in. Does she?
Yes.
She watches. I know she watches.
She watches
you need
after
to come
the
in
fact.
and
Yeah.
You need to come in and record your story.
She started going on this path of, now this is 12 years ago. We called her Organic Woman because we just thought she'd gone crazy. Like, I remember sitting down with her sister, my aunt, who I worked for at the time, and saying, is it time for an intervention? Like, she's bringing her own food to parties, and she's taking all these weird, expensive herbs. She's doing,
funny.
she's obsessed. She's taken it too far.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. I've said this. I said this.
Like putting
and now
breast
I'm
milk
putting
in
breast milk in any place I can. Oh, my dog has a thing. Here, put some breast milk in it. No.
So you seriously thought like she's gone off the deep end?
We literally said,
like,
I get it. I'm all about the healthy. Fruits are good for you. Vegetables are good for you. But now you're just stressing yourself.
It's a little
about
extreme.
This. You don't want to use this hand sanitizer, but you're gonna die from germs. All this stuff. But when you've been through every doctor and they can't figure out every doctor except for the Wellness Way, and they can't. We didn't have 55 clinics.
Right.
We had one at the time.
Now.
Every doctor, and they can't figure out what's wrong with you, and your hair is falling out. We let it slide, but we were worried for her because if once we accepted it, it meant we had to change.
That's huge.
So as a family, once we accepted that Mom had not gone crazy, that she was not seeing a quack, I've used that term, that she was not wasting money, because the other realm, Western medicine, could not help her.
It wasn't working.
It was not working. She was dying.
Yeah.
And once we addressed the fact that she wasn't crazy, she wasn't losing it, she wasn't wasting money, we had to accept it.
Yeah.
And that's where...
And then it makes you think differently because her thinking was different. And then you looked at it differently. Because when you see this stuff work, and we talk about it all the time because it's the clinical results.
We get to see clinical results every day.
Yeah, right.
Day out.
Yeah.
And we try to share that with the world, with you guys. And
yeah, and then when you get to experience it yourself, that's when it becomes like not wanting to put it on other people, but only because we know how much it's changed us, that it makes us want that for that person. It's not about like, well, we want to push you to do this thing that we're saying you're going to go off the deep end. It's a little crazy. You're going to put breast milk in your waffles eventually. But that's not why. Like the whole purpose is because you might not think there's something wrong with you. And that makes it sound like I'm telling you there's something wrong with you.
Be.
But
eventually we can't keep treating our bodies the way that we treat them and then are shocked when 3/4 of the population has cancer. I remember sitting down, we still do it. We sit around the holiday tables with family, and it's, can you believe so-and-so has cancer? And it's so sad that this person has diabetes and this person died unexpectedly at 25. And it's 15 of us, and it's all this, and I'm just sitting there going, yes, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not saying that because I'm heartless, not saying it because I'm not humble. I'm saying it because, yes, the research is out there. If you continue to do X, Y, Z, you are going to continue to end up X, Y, Z.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's not guaranteed, obviously, but we have to take a proactive approach, and we have to show our kids that it is important, because otherwise we should have had stats ready. 1 in 5 have this, 2 in 5 have this, 3 in 5. I mean, I can only imagine.
Well, and I think that's something too that I actually was texting the team about last night, was sometimes you don't think that food allergies are affecting something, like your child's behavior, or I don't know. That's the example that I can think of, is your child's behavior. Like that's a big thing where my kids are fine. Well, Kylie had terrible anxiety every morning at school. I have a test, and what if I do this, and what if Dad doesn't pick us up? And for me, I'm like, here, it'll be fine. We cut out gluten for 2 weeks.
That's Bella's anxiety too.
It was like a world of difference. And that's what I'm saying. When you do it and you see it, you can't undo that. You can't unsee that and go back, because it changes your thinking to realize that these things are making a difference. And she's been gluten-free since, because she knows how much it makes her feel differently.
But you hit it on the head. You said couple of our, we've got some key phrases, but start somewhere, so then you can think differently.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. So I mean, if starting somewhere means cutting out gluten start with a week, and then it's 2 weeks, and then you feel awesome, and then it's, a year.
You take it a step further. Why do we do what we do it the wellness way? Because how many times have we heard, well, I cut out gluten, it didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm. Right,
well, because we have to test you. You have to figure out what's going on, not, what. But we were at a restaurant once, and Jace was given maraschino cherry, so the red dye-filled, chemical-laden cherries. I think, too.
You mean, okay, never mind.
And large family function. Yeah. It was it Jace or it was Bella? It was one of them. And it was like a flip of a switch. His behavior? Bouncing off the walls, to the point where we're crying, laughing, in a very sad, melodramatic way, afterward, thinking about it. But we're going, what is up with this kid? Like, he's crazy. Like, he was being really cute and really funny, because it lasted an hour. Yeah. We went home, we took care of it, we took care of the damage, built, whichever, and we went on with life. But so now kids that eat this way all the time, you don't know that there's
until you remove
options.
Those things.
You have no idea. And it doesn't just have to be a maraschino cherry filled with red dye. It doesn't just have to be a wheat or gluten or Mountain Dew or Skittles. It could be apples, if that's what they're allergic to.
Brian's allergic to tons of veggies.
Your start somewhere, is look up the foods to avoid.
Right,
high fructose corn syrup, sugar, red dye, polysorbate 80. I mean, so on and so forth. There's that
and Doc
list.
always says, like, if you're going to start removing things, start with what? Gluten?
Processed foods. And
but he'll usually say, like, gluten and dairy is a good place to start if you're ready to start somewhere. But even like you're saying, removing some of those processed things instead of, but I have to add, we were at Costco the other day, and Kylie's the one that's gluten-free. She's 10, And she saw the box of Lucky Charms, and it's, you know how Costco is. It's like everything is giant.
Yes.
And it's like $8 for whatever. Two big family-sized boxes of Lucky Charms for $7.50 or something. Mom, can we get Lucky Charms? I'm like, you know. And she runs up to the box and pointed, and I actually have a picture, and it says gluten-free on the top right corner of the box. And she's like, it's gluten-free. I'm like, okay, read the ingredients. So she stood there because she knows. She stood there and read the ingredients, and she's like, oh, yeah, no. But
soy.
I mean,
I don't want my little boys to have soy. I fully believe it's backed by research. Come on. Messes with their hormones, messes with their endocrine system, and now we have all kinds of type of issues. It's all related.
Yeah.
So we, Clarice from our office, from one of our offices actually, Felicity Tomlinson, I should probably know who that is, but I don't know, died a week ago. Is that a famous person?
I don't know.
At the age of 18, because of a heart attack. I do what I do now because I know before I was headed towards an autoimmune disease. Just because we're young doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't make these choices for ourselves. Amen. She doesn't have any kids. Who's saying this, Clarice? She doesn't. She's doesn't mean that you can't do it. So
Laura,
my dad says hello from Texas. Nice boots. It's because he's going to buy me new ones in Texas.
Oh, nice.
Because I spend all my money on organic food.
Can you buy me some boots too? Mine, you can't see mine, but they're just black. Some new summery shoes.
Awesome.
Laura says, when is too young to have your kids' food allergies tested?
That's a good question. So it depends on if they're breastfeeding or not. So Jace is 3. He's done breastfeeding. We were dealing with some rashes around his mouth. We got him tested. Now,
are you sure they were rashes?
Yeah. Not strawberries. Last night we confused. Okay, we
you
gotta
have to tell the story
real quick.
Just because
we
so
do
funny.
super good. Jace kept getting. He's almost 4. He'll be 4 in June. He kept getting a rash around his mouth, and we are already gluten free, and pretty strict with everything, of course. And I couldn't pinpoint it, so we did a blood test. It was oats, which I would have never guessed. But I gave him oats all the time when he was younger with hemp hearts and chia seeds, super healthy, and watermelon.
Well, you thought it was healthy, but...
So, yeah, healthy I thought, not for him apparently. So, and sesame, but that's easy to avoid. He totally got that for me because I have a sesame allergy that will not go away.
Really?
Yeah. So, he's running around and we're trying to figure it out. We've cooked at home. We've been home all day. Why does he have this rash on his mouth? I put some organic chapstick on it. What's in it? Yeah. Racking our brain. A couple hours, my mom and I, she was over, we were cooking. And we sat down on the couch about 7:30 and I said, come here. And I did the good old mom
typical
trick,
mom.
right?
Lick your finger, wipe it off.
Wiped it off. And I said, he goes, I ate strawberries today.
So I
racked my brain for 3 hours going,
awesome.
Did his immune system flip? Do I need to test him again? This is how we think here.
Because you're so crunchy. Yeah. It's like, oh
do
no.
I need to test him again? Is there something wrong? Did the dog walk past a tree and he hugged the dog? And, it was strawberries. He needed his face washed.
Yeah, he needed his face washed. That's all it was. Sometimes it's that simple.
It's that simple. So what age? Now, Jackson, when we did it early on because I knew something was wrong. 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I was already dairy-free.
Him, though.
We did not test him because he's strictly breastfeeding.
Right.
So we tested me. And we figured out dairy, coconut, mushrooms, cod, shrimp.
You sound so angry when you're saying that list.
I'm angry. What kind of dairy-free person can't have coconut?
And no coconut either.
I would have never guessed, though. I know we talked about this on like 3 shows. But so we didn't test him.
So you did that, right.
So now he carries my immune system, A, because he spent 9 months in me. Actually 8 months and 3.5 weeks to be exact. And because I'm breastfeeding. So he carries it plays into the whole natural realm of why am I not scared of diseases that he couldn't be vaccinated for, which he's not anyways. Why am I not? Because he's carrying your
immune system.
We exposed Jace to chickenpox in the hopes of him getting them naturally. It's probably going to take a couple times. He didn't get it, and I was about to leave for a work trip, and I said, wait, after the incubation period, it's going to be while I'm gone to Hawaii that he is going to break out in this rash. Mom, are you sure you want to deal with this? And she said, yeah, we have to do it. You got to take the chance. And I said, what about Jackson? And then I thought, there's no way. He's not going to get it because I've had the chicken pox. So he is getting my antibodies and my immune system from me.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So he probably will not get them while he's still fully breastfeeding. So now we've tested a baby. I remember this sweet little boy because I talked to his mom on the phone. This is when I was at the front desk. Rashes, like rash all over his face. So I don't know if it was a rosacea style rash or what it was, eczema. I didn't follow his case long enough. But he was young, probably the youngest. I remember having to do the hold, which means I'm holding the arm. But mom was not breastfeeding. He was formula fed and he was doing solids already. So I don't know if he was quite a year, but we tested him because he was already eating all these foods. But if mom is strictly breastfeeding, test the mom.
Right. That makes more sense.
Yeah, their immune system is flipping back and forth, and the doctors can answer. This is where you get back to this is a blanket statement.
Yeah.
But it's case by case.
Right. It really is. But I mean, again, just to start. It's important to just start. Otherwise,
start by the next time you buy your hand wash, you buy a natural one.
Right.
Start by going and reading articles on the Wellness Way website. Start by setting up I'm going to watch one YouTube video a week. We've got endless YouTube videos.
Well, yeah, and our Pinterest and our Instagram, like, they're both full of swaps, which I love because, well, and actually, Carly, we were just talking about that. But I mean, if you for someone like me who always did Mountain Dew and Skittles, I found a substitute. Not that it means it's like healthy for me, but if I'm craving that or something and I just really want a soda or I really want some candy.
I was craving last night, like ice
cream, chocolate.
Yep. So I took a gluten-free, paleo, dairy-free brownie, stuck it in the toaster oven.
You just have this in your house?
Well, this is from a craving I had a couple weeks ago.
I'm like, I just don't have this stuff.
When you feel like you can't have all this stuff and you're breastfeeding and you're constantly hungry. So I struggle keeping my calories up while still dealing with my food allergy list because I can't have this huge list of things.
Yeah.
So I happened to have a second one in the fridge. So I took that, covered it with almond milk ice cream, and then covered it with dairy-free organic chocolate syrup. So I'm looking at this going, this is really sassy. Like, I don't even want to know, Nancy, the grams of sugar that was in that.
Yeah.
It was probably 3 days worth of sugar. But it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, there's no preservatives, there's no chemicals.
Right.
So I look at that now and I go, okay, this is a treat. This is a really big treat. And I ate the entire thing. And it was fantastic.
And it was good.
And I waited till after the kids were in bed so I didn't have to share.
That makes sense. I would totally do the same thing.
But I look back now and I go, that's my naughty.
Right.
And people would look at that and go, that's crazy, that's super crunchy. But I started 10 years ago switching things out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you have to get started and it's important.
That's awesome. So Callie says, what's your favorite natural hand soap? I do this was an early change for me actually because I didn't like having the smell of the other hand soaps. So I switched to the On Guard.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Now that we don't do any chemicals, we don't do in our house, we don't do any perfumes, candles, Febreze, laundry soap. Everything is very natural. When I walk down, so the natural stuff is on the outside at my regular grocery store, but when I walk down Costco, they have everything mixed.
Okay.
My eyes run.
Yeah.
And my nose run.
Or the other store in town that has great prices.
That one too.
You walk down that one and it's like, oh, I can't breathe.
Rolling back prices, that one.
Yeah. You can't breathe.
You can't breathe. But I thought about it and I think, how many times have you met somebody and they have sinusitis or they constantly are draining and they're constantly sick? They don't know, yet they're doing Febreze because it's good for their doors and their lights. I was the mom when I first moved out, because I was already mom when I moved out. Into my first duplex, I got great pleasure, and once a week I would take Lysol and spray the door handles.
Oh, yes.
And I would do that, and then I would take bleach, and then I would take all these things, and I was like, my house is so clean, I'm doing all this stuff.
Breathe it all in.
And breathe it all in, and I was dealing with allergy issues and ADHD. Bella was dealing with anxiety. You don't think that they connect, and they hugely connect.
They do.
So.
And it's not just based on opinions.
No, it's
like
not.
We may sound like it's all based on opinions, but there's a lot of science behind it all.
So,
right?
Last but not least, I want to touch on it. Where all of this gets us to is that it's acceptable to say, I disagree.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we've got a current campaign out right now.
Yes.
And we've got Dr. Flynn has a huge event coming up. It's available online and in town in Green Bay called I Disagree.
Yes.
And super excited. We're doing that
his
with Life
book
Church.
launch. Yep.
Book launch. And just to say, just because it's the way you've always been taught does not mean it's the way that it has to be.
Right,
so.
exactly. So disagreeing with the way that you assume you should approach everything. I mean, from everything that we've been talking about, ear infections.
I disagree.
To
I
foods
needed Lysol in order for my kids to be healthy.
Yeah,
You know, you can take it that simplistic, and you can take
sure.
it as high as me. I disagree. I need Adderall 4 times a day to function.
Right.
I finally hit a point after years and years of Ritalin and Adderall. That's my story. We've talked about all my pregnancy stories. We have not talked about that story. I disagreed, and I've touched it since. So.
Yeah.
But if I would have never woke up and said, I disagree that I need this, I would have still had the night sweats, the mouth sores, all the things that go along with
that go along with it.
For me, was Adderall.
Right. Well, hopefully this is helpful and encouraging to think you don't have to do it all to start.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can just do little things and eventually get to putting, again, breast milk in your waffles, or don't do that. Or be 10 years crunchy and
reusable toilet paper. I'm still
no,
not there. I'll never get there.
No, that's just
but it's super cool if you are.
Reusable toilet paper?
Yeah, remember we talked about the crunchy scale? Reusable toilet paper is all the way over here.
We need to get a crunchy. We need to get a
we
legit
say that every time.
Crunchy scale on here. This is the scale. Sorry, but really, we do.
Awesome.
And next week
we've got.
It'll be awesome. Do you remember?
The Christy Flynn.
Yeah.
Dr. Flynn's wife coming on to talk about home birth.
Wait, there's more. Kristen says, what do you do instead of Adderall?
What do I do instead of Adderall? Get tested. Find a wellness way. I don't. I started out that journey, and why I think I somewhat failed initially is I started out with switch your Adderall to this supplement. Switch your Adderall
so that's
to
the big
fish
difference,
oil.
right?
Switch your Adderall to this. That's
a
natural
functional
medicine cure.
approach.
Switch your Adderall to In Tune from doTERRA. Yes, love them all, fantastic, need them all. Not going to solve the issue.
It's not getting to the root cause.
Yeah, Kristen,
of what's.
I was on 20 milligrams of Adderall 4 times a day.
Hi, Kristen, by the way.
Hi, Kristen, by the way. And I have not touched it in. Gosh.
Well, you were on it when you had Bella.
I was on it when I had Bella. I would say 8 or 9 years. I have not touched it, and I'm kind of a thriving member of society, I like to think now.
Kind of. Maybe like the CEO of the company.
Let's do a show on that.
Let's do a show on your story. We haven't talked about your story.
My other story, my first story. I got lots of stories.
Well, that's you, not Bella. Or are you saying you have more than one?
I mean, not my birth story.
Right,
We'll
that's
do my
what I mean.
ADHD story.
Your ADHD, Adderall. Let's do that. Add that to the list.
Perfect. We'll do that in April, Kristen.
But really, so next week.
Next week,
Yeah,
home
Dr.
birth,
Patrick's
because we've talked
wife is
about
gonna
a
be on.
natural birth in a hospital. We've had moms reach out and say, can you talk to me about a home birth? I'm excited for this because I have not had a home birth yet.
Right.
But I'm probably done.
Aww. Yet.
Just kidding. Awesome.
I'm reading questions.
Nancy's
It's
like,
so
I
fun.
don't want to stop. I don't
It's so fun to have the questions.
Yes, please.
Can we get a
let
what
me
you
know
eat in a day, videos, pictures, or a list?
5 ants. 5 ants is a new one that's out. That wasn't out when I was on it.
What?
Ooh, can you get a what you eat in a day video pictures? I'm doing Instagram takeover.
What? Did I just read that? I just read that.
Okay, so if I'm on ADD, I don't take Adderall.
I just read that, and you were like, something about Visine, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Visine 5 ants.
See? So we're equally paying attention to each other.
Crap, now we're Patrick and Ross again. Back to the show.
Yet. Your dad
I'm
says
doing
yet.
Instagram takeover.
To the
No, Dad, kidding. Not yet. No, done.
Okay. When is your Instagram takeover?
When's my Instagram takeover? It's on a Monday.
Mine's not
April.
till like the end of April. Yours is before that.
Yeah. Monday, April.
But
8th.
when we do those
So
Instagram
we'll do
takeovers,
all my stuff.
yeah,
And you'll see
just
how
all the things.
All the things I do.
We'll just do it all.
Mine won't be pretty. Like Timberland did hers, and it was super awesome. And she showed herself
was
studying
very
at
pretty.
the coffee shop and all the food she cooked. Mine's gonna be like, here's how
I'm
I
real.
get through the day. 3 kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally a hot mess, but some days. We'll see. Maybe I need to do a couple
chicken
of
nuggets
them.
and mac and cheese for every meal.
Gluten-free.
It's gluten-free. That's what matters. All right. So yes, we will do that.
Cool.
We will do pictures. There's a lot on our on the Wellness Way Instagram too. We oftentimes just around the office will eat BLTs or something and take a picture of it and post it. So keep an eye on that because we always have tips on there.
For me, there's your start somewhere. People get too crazy with their foods for their family. I don't know how to cook the way you do with all these homemade foods.
Yeah.
Whoa. Break it down. Chicken breast and buttered noodles, if you can have butter. Totally fine for dinner. They don't have to be all this crazy
elaborate.
things. Now I enjoy cooking and I can take a recipe and make it gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and all kinds of stuff, but it does not have to do that. There's nothing wrong with green beans and a hamburger.
Right.
Like taking it back down simple. Leave
Yeah.
the boxes, go to simple.
Perfect. All right,
Awesome.
home births
Yes.
next week.
Demonstrating. No, just kidding.
Not demonstrating. But it'll be awesome to have Christy on the show.
Yeah.
It'll be very cool. We haven't had her on, so it'll be good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, as always, leave comments, questions. If you think of anything that you want us to answer, we'll touch on your story sometime in April and talk about ADHD and Adderall, and we'll kind of go from there.
Cool.
All right. See you next week.